Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, or good day wherever you are in the world, and welcome to the next episode of No Dice, No Glory. Sponsored by our jobs that actually pay us money, we're coming to you not at all live from an abandoned arms factory deep under a mountain in West Virginia. We are proud to proffer to you the finest in wargaming coverage. Without any further ado, let's get this show on the road.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tales of the Sail, episode 29. The Spanish are coming. It is June. As we record this, it is June 9th, and we are joined by our regular crew of malcontents and ne'er-do-wells. We have Glenn, the gentleman farmer, Van Meter.
Hello. I think we're all extra malcontent this month.
We really are. And you're hiding in a basement.
I am
in an armchair that we really hope holds on to the Wi-Fi signal. So if you hear us scrambling or you hear a weird cut, it's because I sliced Glenn temporarily out of the podcast before he could reconnect. We also have Tyler, gritty as my spirit animal, Stone.
Hey, everybody.
And I am Tom Chairborne Mullane. So we're going to start. We're finally back on a regular schedule, I believe. And let's talk about what we've been up to. I haven't gotten a ton of painting because I've been busy for undisclosed reasons. So I'm going to leave with Tyler. So Tyler, talk to us about what you have gotten to do since we last recorded.
Not a whole lot. Glenn tried to kill me, I think, leading into the giant global campaign that we're doing. I had some crab dip that was made with Chesapeake Bay crabs. They said so very proudly on the menu, and those crabs were not okay. And by extension, I was not okay for most of last week. So the limited amount of hobbying that I have gotten to do is my prize support for a big box of stuff to give to people for the campaign. The summer campaign has come in, and I've been converting a French standard bearer because I promised people that if they played enough games against the natives in the month of June, whoever plays the most gets a custom converted standard bearer from me with a flag. It will look very nice. I've built a similar model before for someone else for the Secret Santa.
Are you going for the what's that famous painting? Liberty? Madame Liberty look?
I'm doing one of those for me. I was going to do that for this one, but I figured people would probably prefer to have a more generic sort of character. And initially I was going to use the South Sea Adventure character because that's what I based the conversion on previously. But I wanted something that looked more French. So this has involved sawing the arm off one of the Marinero models and sculpting in a new one.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was able to save obviously the torso, and then from the cuff down, I was able to save that. And I'm just going to put a pin through it and bulk it out with some green stuff, add some wrinkling and whatnot to make sort of a bent sleeve.
So you're saying that you'll make some sans culottes is basically what you're doing?
Yeah. Maybe when I paint him up, I'll paint him up with no stockings on, so he looks like he's running around in a bunch of revolutionary chinos.
You know what? I want a Robespierre model. I just want
I have a guillotine, to paint up.
I got one of those turned in as a project, by the way. It's a working guillotine, which is absolutely terrifying, and it's life size.
I was gonna say full scale or miniature.
It's full scale. It is not allowed to be brought in to the building for obvious reasons. But we got to see a video of it chopping a watermelon in half. And,
I was gonna ask, is it an assault guillotine?
Yeah, pretty much.
Sorry, probably poor taste for our American audience.
I also say it was a great email from the parent, and they basically asked, is it possible for you to do they have to make a full-scale guillotine? And I'm like, I need to clarify the parameters of this project. At no point was it required to build a full-scale guillotine. That was a choice That was a choice that your son made, independent of me. They can build a small guillotine. They could, in fact, not build a guillotine. That is also an option. They could build literally anything else from history, and it would be considered completely acceptable. But I admire their gumption. They have a good run. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
So many memes. This is not a visual format, or they would all
No,
be
it's
on.
not. I have movies and I have art. I'll show you some of the stuff that I got today. I'll send it to you over chat so you can see it. But it's amazing. I think my personal favorite piece of art was a perfect replica of a silkscreen print from the Meiji Restoration, except every person in the picture was replaced by Garfield.
Nice.
It's really beautiful. Like it's very well done. There's like all sorts of shading on it. It has like a train, which also has Garfield's face on it. Yeah, I want to hang it in my office so people can like look at it and be like, "What is this?" And I'd be like, "It's a photo of the Meiji Restoration. You uncultured swine."
And then they look closer.
Bingo. Glenn, did you eat the same crabs or no? You didn't.
No. I honestly think that the problem may have been that he was eating Maryland crabs cooked by a non-Marylander.
It's possible.
Because I have to say, I'll vouch for Glenn here and say that every time I've eaten at his house, it's been really excellent. I think Glenn's a pretty good cook. We had the smoked steak that was delicious. When we had crabs, they were awesome. You also cook a mean breakfast, so Glenn is a fine host.
I do like to cook. Don't trust a skinny chef, as they say.
And so, Glenn, you've also been busy. Tell us what you've been doing.
Well, hold on. I want to go off on a Garfield tangent because one of the things I found when I was younger that I still love is somebody did a comic where they took Garfield and they removed everyone but John. It's called Garfield minus Garfield. And if you ever want to read something really depressing, yet hilarious, go read that.
It's just pure
I think I've heard of this.
existentialism.
Yeah, I want to see this. I'm gonna start. I'm looking at this a second.
It'll literally just be like 3 panels of John just standing there, and then he'll just be like, "Sigh, not again," or something like that. Where it's just... So my parents are visiting, which is nice because they're taking care of the kids a little bit for us, and they're running the kids out. The kids have been going to sleep and listening, mostly because it's not listening to us. That means that I've actually... Plus, my parents are staying in the guest bedroom, which is also our home office where my computer is, which forced me to stop playing computer games at night and come in the basement and actually do hobby stuff. I've spent the last week and a half on Discord pretty much every night, chatting with people and building miniatures from various games. I'm working particularly on Saga, so Tom, next time you come down, or maybe even at Historicon with non-painted armies, Saga.
That's exactly what I was painting with my friend Shane tonight. I've got
Nice.
I've got another squad of 8 warriors for the Irish painted up. I just need to work on their weapons. So I made a lot of progress tonight, actually. But that's the next thing I'm focusing on. I'm trying to get a good 6-point army ready for the Irish.
Nice. I was actually looking at because I also bought the War Games Atlantic Irish box, and friend of the show, He Who Must Not Be Named, has an extra sprue. I didn't say it.
So you're saying he has the same box?
He has an extra sprue he got somewhere. So I'm grabbing that, and I think that'll be enough for give me 1 levy, 3 warriors, and warhounds, which is another warriors. So I'll need to find some Hearthguard or Carols or Carads or whatever they're called. But it's most of an Irish army. But beyond that, I also have a 6-point Anglo-Saxon starter box with some extra Hearthguard. So
I will have to buy another army, like when I get to Historicon, because I want to be able to play 2 forces against each other as demos for students.
Why I got the Irish.
Yep, there you go. So I think I might get Vikings because they're the most thematically appropriate for the stuff that I teach. Like I do a whole unit on the Vikings. So it's a perfect way to my big project this summer is going to be terrain building because I've been looking at Dexter Hyde's videos, and I'm going to start building a bunch of like little longhouses and stuff like that. And I want to have a bunch of tables. Tyler also was inspiring because I think that the stuff you had ready for the tournament we ran was really, really freaking good. I know it permanently damaged your lungs because you sandblasted yourself into oblivion, but I think the results were great.
I have a respirator for the next time that I go to do that. Hopefully, I'll have some stuff when we get to Historicon. I want to have a whole like 6x4 winter table, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to break it down into a 3x4 as well for the North American stuff, some snowshoe type fights.
But more on that later.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I am trying to finish the school year, doing my best.
Wait,
I
I skipped over one of the most important things I've been up to
I'm
lately.
sorry. Please, yes, go back.
Harassing Dan Carlson and his tiny oak and iron ships.
that poor man and his tiny boats.
I just wish you would give. I wish you would give Blood and Plunder a try. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like it's such a great game that he's missing out. You know,
He really is.
I feel
a
like
shame.
he's tried it, but he was having a lot of difficulty with the 3mm scale figures on the decks. It's like, Dan, they make bigger boats, man.
Yeah, and he was just like, I'm so angry right now. And
Yeah.
he just threw them. You know,
I don't
in the
get it. Why
fire.
do I have to move all of my stuff with tweezers?
On the plus side, you can pick up a 3mm World War I army for pretty cheap. So switching to Blood and Valor shouldn't be a problem for him.
Good call. That's awesome. So anyway, I did have to be. I was one of the scorers for the AP World exam, which is still going on as I record this. They sent me a message. I got a recording from a missed call at 6 a.m. today. That was an automated message that basically said, "Please don't stop scoring so many exams left," and then it like hung up. It's like a robot pleading for help. Because a lot of teachers didn't have the whole week off, and so they haven't been able to put in the time they normally have. Because basically, the advanced placement exams are given in May, and then different exams schedule different readings for the test. And so this is the third year that I've done it. I did it for around 32 hours, and it's a great experience because you learn a lot about how the sausage gets made, so to speak. And so next year I'll go in armed a little bit better with tactics and strategies to help my kids actually score. But overall, it went pretty well this year. I can't speak to specifics of the exam itself, but I can say that the kids were doing really well. So it was actually nice to see. It's not a bad way to end my year. I have 3 days left as I speak to you guys now in terms of kids in class. And then we just do exams and I'm finished on the 24th of June. But I've been busy enough and it's been bad enough in terms of just time commitments that I had to step down as the official Spanish commander, but the banner has been taken up by a very deserving person. So with that, I will let Tyler take us in to talk about the Summer of Plunder, what it is, how they enter, and any updates on the campaign so far. So go ahead and start us off.
We picked up the Summer of Plunder and talked about it in last month's podcast. If you guys missed that one, there's a lot more detail there. As far as what it is spearheaded by Blood and Pigment. We are also helping. Dexter Hyde over at the Plunder Den is helping. The Oak and Iron blog that just launched, they're involved. They're doing some of the Oak and Iron challenges for us, and also making some gorgeous 3D models.
Gonna mess up. Timber and Sail, right?
Yes. As far as entering, play a game. There is a homepage on Blood and Pigment's website on their blog. Go to that page. It will have a form that you fill out to enter your games. You're going to need to include a photo. They will ask you if they have your permission to share that photo. You do not have to say yes, but if you do say yes, you might show up on somebody's blog, theirs, ours. We all kind of pick and choose from them. As far as choosing factions, there are, I think at last count, over $2,000 worth of prizes up for grabs.
I think we're over 2,500.
Yeah,
By the time
pretty
you
crazy.
get the commanders in, I think you are, because each of the national commanders is chipping in like another pool of prizes just for their nation.
Yeah, like I have probably $150 in prizes set aside that aren't in that list.
Yeah, The way that you earn prizes, there are weekly challenges. You can do those. They'll get you prizes. There are, like noob of the year, like the new players each month. We're going to give kind of a starter bundle to a new player. At the end of the campaign, different folks are going to get things for their record. And those are all faction agnostic. Some of the prizes within the factions, you can play any faction when you report a game. If you report as the French for just one game, it puts you in the running to win the painted French commander from me. If you play in someone else's faction, at the end of the campaign, we're all sending out a painted commander model. So you're in the running to win a random one from them too. Different factions, we're all offering different prizes. For example, I'm offering that standard bearer and a monthly prize.
I will say that my model is already painted and ready to go. Like, even though I think Guy Rourke is taking over as the Spanish commander, I still have the Spanish mini all painted and ready to go. So maybe that means we give out 2. I don't know if he has an extra one lying around, but that can't hurt. I'm really proud of the guy I painted. I think he turned out cool. I went with kind of like a fun blue colored coat, and I did the flashing and prim and trim on stuff. It turned out pretty well. So yeah, it'll go out one way or the other.
I've put mine up for a vote, so I need to go in and see what the current lead on the vote is. I have a feeling it's Lene.
Why did I think they were having us paint legendary commanders, like from the new box?
That would require them to have sent us any of them as samples for us to paint.
Well, I mean, we got months to go.
Yeah, we do. They still might give it to us, or we might grab one at Historicon because it goes through the whole summer. I'll just harass Mike when we see him, because I'm sure he has extra commanders like in his pockets or in the glove compartment of his car. Because he's that kind of
he's
guy.
just hoarding those plastics.
Like Werther's
You're right.
originals.
Exactly, that's what they are. All right, and I think so. Yeah, we mentioned how things are going. England is currently winning, right?
Yeah, England's got 92 games in, so that's the other thing. We are.
Whoa, hold on. Points.
Halfway. Yeah, points, not games. But we're at half. We've passed the halfway point for number of games that we had submitted last year.
I'm going off of memory here. I want to say the number that was quoted in chat. I want to say chat earlier today. Okay, for how much smack talk there is on the commanders chat, I want everybody to know. I put down my phone to eat dinner with my family and came back to over 100 messages. So
It's brutal.
I have to scroll for
silent.
days just to get back to something this morning. So, anyways, if I remember the numbers correctly, last year there was a total of 268 games submitted, and this year, like not even done week 2, we're at 175 as of today.
Mm-hmm.
So we are on track to blow last year out of the water, not only in prize support, but also with actual participation.
I'm psyched. I think it's going great so far. Good on Joe Forrester and Guy Rourke and Dexter Hyatt and Dan Carlson, all the guys that are helping to contribute to this, the Blood and Pigment guys. So if you haven't yet tested the waters or found an opponent, go for it. You could even play solo if you wanted to. There's even rules for that.
If you're playing solo and you can find a new player to play with you, bonus points for your faction.
Points.
Yeah. You get bonus points and not solo players. New players are up for potential prizes, and there is a prize. There is a prize for the player who converts, I think, the most new players, or is it random amongst people who've converted new players?
It might be most, but if you are a new player, and Joe has some algorithm to figure this out, I think, but we're giving away like new player starter packs, which I think consist of like a starter box and a ship.
They do. It's a starter box, the cards, and a ship. And I know one of those is the light frigate. So it's not like we're handing out like a Tartana and a box of 3 units.
Here's a starter and a longboat.
Yeah, no, they're big boats.
Yeah, so that's some more prize support added on top. Like that was added in later.
Yeah.
So anyways, back to the numbers.
Yeah, back to the numbers. So the overall rankings are, Glenn, run us down the list.
England is currently in the lead, led by Dexter Hyde and his amazing terrain with 92 points. Somehow the Spanish are actually performing this year with 86 points. Pirates have cheated their way to 67 points. My Dutch, they fell behind, but they're catching back up. 65 points. France, or whatever blue is, I also heard this might be Scotland.
This is
63 points.
erasure, and I won't stand for it. Half of those points are coming from one person. So if you're any of my other French players who are not Chris Ash, get it together, guys. My God.
You need to
Or
spend.
Mon Dieu,
Get
I
the man a
guess.
flag. Get the man a flag. I'll pay for a flag. Hell, I have extra French flags lying around.
The number of points he's contributed, he's
You
literally
apparently
playing a
have
game a
guillotine
day
in your
or more.
backyard. Just send it to him.
I do. Chris Ash, you want a guillotine? Because I got news for you. I'm sure my students' parents do not want it hanging around in their garage. That's the kind of thing that gets you investigated for murder as soon as the neighbor's cats go missing.
Poor Miguel, his natives are bringing up the rear at 33 points.
I will say this for Miguel. His trash talking is really great. I really enjoy it. I think it's solid. I think he's getting a bad rap. I think the problem is that not enough people have native armies painted up. I think once Raise the Black gets not Raise the Black. Once Fire on the Frontier gets a
Fire
little
the
more
Frontier.
out, yeah. I think you're gonna see. Like I have plans to build one. I just haven't gotten it together yet. And I think people are playing with what they have, and the native armies are just a little more rare. And a lot
That
of
was the
native
crazy
games,
part to me. The natives that are the crazy part to me is that the natives that have been reporting, and I looked this up on the thing, except it's buried in chat. It's mostly been southern tribes, which I realize those are the models that have been out longest, but there was a lot of excitement about northern tribes, and especially with Fire on the Frontier, you get the Braves, you get the Iroquois, you get all the colonial stuff that North Americans or specifically Americans are used to seeing. So I really thought they'd have a stronger showing, and here it is. It's just, I guess it must be the poison arrows, because hot lead's not as good.
I will say something else regarding something that we're going to talk about a little later in the episode, which is the Spanish lists. The kind of the trend in a lot of these lists that are coming up is flexibility, where they allow you to take larger numbers or larger variety of units mixed together that are historical for whatever particular force you're taking. And so, like, native allies are more common, especially in Fire on the Frontier. And that's also the case here. You're going to see a wider variety of Spanish units available to kind of put in the field. And they have more native groups to fight with them.
Before we get away from the Summer of Plunder 2022 updates, I do want to say, Dutch players, again, I've widened my original challenge from capture, sink, or burn a Spanish ship to any vessel. If you can capture, sink, or burn any vessel while playing Blood and Plunder or Oak and Iron, make sure you put it in the notes when you're submitting your game. I've been going through and checking. I've already mailed off 2 prizes to people. One all the way to the Netherlands. Actually, the first winner was in the Netherlands.
Nice.
Yeah. Shipping has gone up 25% since last summer.
Yes, it has.
Oh God. But anyways, so yeah, you will get your prize no matter where you live. We'll figure it out, as we always say. But yes, anybody who captures, sinks, or burns a ship, I will send you reinforcements. No, that's like a limit 1 thing, not every time you do it. Just if you have managed to accomplish that feat, I will send you a blister. In addition to anything else you might win throughout the campaign.
Tyler, any active prizes you're on the lookout for?
The French challenges remain the same every month. The player who completes the most weekly objectives, I will kick you a unit. I've got a full unit, so 8 models. I'll kick you one of those. I've also got an Oak and Iron box, so if it's an Oak and Iron player, I can kind of shotgun in and kick out an Oak and Iron box to them. And then the current challenge that I have is because I'm tired of Nigel's trash talking, I have declared war against him and his filthy savage natives. Because I think what they're doing, right, is Nigel isn't getting any games reported because I think all the people who bought the super cool like Braves and
Or
Diocese
French.
and stuff, are using them to play English Raiders.
I think you're
That's
right.
my theory.
I think that's exactly
No, they're
what
not
it
using
is.
them to play French because
That's
then
how
they'd
I
be
was
winning.
planning on using the Braves that I have. They're going to be paired with an English raiding force.
That famous Spanish Iroquois alliance.
Bingo.
I've had it with these natives. Yeah, I've had it with these natives. So we're going to take them out. So if you play the player who gets the most games in against natives, I will award you a standard bearer so that the entire world can know that you carry the flag for all of New France.
Nice. Well, I'm playing Miguel in like a week on the 18th, so I'll be sure to report the game. I'll try to get together enough Braves so I can fight him native on native, get him a bit of a boost.
Also, we have pirates in as a faction, but the unaligned, I know there are challenges out for the Scottish because we have some crazy Scotsmen helping, but I think that the unaligned, the minor powers like Sweden, Portugal,
Correct.
Yeah.
those guys, they can report for any faction, right? Yeah, so if you're playing like Ostend Private, or no, Ostend actually is Spain. Yeah, if you're playing as Sweden, you can report for France and be in the running to win French prizes, or the Dutch, or if for some reason you want to support the English. I don't know why. They're already winning. But if you want to support them, you can support them.
We have a whole bunch of stuff going on. So, Glenn, give us a rundown on the schedule again. This will likely be we'll record in early July, and I'll be able to get something out. But this is the second to last time we'll record before we are at Historicon. So we wanted to give you the rundown of what's going to be happening. So go for it.
That said, yeah, I am excited about Historicon. I know Mitch will do the normal NDNG live from Historicon kind of recording, but I would like to do a special Tales of the Sale episode, possibly with a bunch of people. Much like remember when WWPD would do the live episodes?
Yes.
I would love to do something like that, but we've got to get it figured out.
I'm going to talk to
anyways.
Mitch about the recording equipment because I think this is a conversation we can have at length, like off air later on. But he has a really nice setup that lets him just kind of hook it up with a couple of mics and sit down and record stuff and then bring that audio back and upload it. And I'm getting better at the editing portion of this, so I'm more confident that I can take that raw audio file and turn it into something that people want to listen to with transitions and things like that. So, yeah, I also wanted to get some stuff to do more hobby things, and I might focus on some recording equipment. But I'll talk to Mitch first and see what he's got in terms of his setup, and then we'll chat about it later.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Brian Reed, who has offered to also lend us portable audio equipment for when Mitch isn't with us.
Well, that's nice of him. Good for Brian.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
He can be great at trivia and lend us equipment. So, anyways.
Don't remind me.
All right. So, Historicon finally put out the events, the official event schedule. It is available their website is super convoluted, but if you Google Historicon 2022 events or tournament, it should take you to the right page. And then there's a PDF that's separate from the Pell. And then we're listed at the very end of that somehow.
I will also say, for those of you who are more visual learners, we will be posting probably next week, but I'm going to see what we've got going on, like a rundown of all the events, and just like to give you a month to kind of get signed up and get, so like whatever we're saying verbally here, you'll see repeated in posts on NDNG and on our Facebook page.
Yeah, and I also did a link already on Facebook with the link to the tournament not packet, but the Historicon official thing.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yeah, but we'll keep pushing that out so that people can find it more easily. So, Iron Man, again, this year we have 4 events. You only need to compete in 3 of them. So if you're not an early morning person, you can skip that one if you want. So, starting off Thursday, we have Oak and Iron from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. It's going to be 50-point patrol mission, so you're limited to 2 to 4 ships, no ships at the line, and we have 90-minute rounds for that. At least that's what it says. We have 5 hours, so yeah, 90-minute rounds. That makes sense. Blood and Valor is Friday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. 150 points. It says 60-minute rounds, but that's 5-hour window, so it might also be hour and a half. That said, Blood and Valor plays very quickly, so could be 60-minute rounds. Blood and Plunder Land Tournament, Friday, 2:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. In the listing, for some reason, this got copied and pasted from the C listing, so it says you have to have boats in your list. Ignore that. Don't show up to the land tournament with a ship. It won't go anywhere. But it's 150 points, 90-minute rounds. We did test this at Critical Hit back in the Easter Island tournament. We did 105-minute rounds, and that was plenty of time for people to get done, so 90 minutes shouldn't be a problem. Finally, on Saturday, noon to 6 p.m., we have the Blood and Plunder Sea tournament. 200 points. You do need a ship for this one. 2-hour rounds, or maybe boats. If you prefer boats, you can do boats instead of a ship. But however you want to split your force up. For all of these, we do ask that you bring 2 copies of your list, one of which we will want turned into the judges. You can email us your list. We prefer if you use the Force Builder, but we would like to have copies of your lists to make sure that everything is up to
Above
snuff.
board.
Yes, above board.
It also helps serve for like data collection purposes, just because we like to know and kind of what people are playing, both in terms of like it's just helpful.
It's true.
So yeah.
Because people ask what the winning list is, and I go, Spanish militia? Shrug.
Yeah, we love data. We want to get into more of the nitty gritty of it. So I'm sure
Yep.
we'll talk about it the day of if we have a chance to record, like, during breaks. But
Holy Lancero's Batman.
yeah, bingo. Lancero's the best, man. Tyler, you
They
want to
are
talk about
good.
the other things that are going on in Historicon, since Glenn did the
Here's a
rundown
pointy
of
stick.
the tournaments?
Yeah, so I really enjoy tournaments. I also really enjoy scenario gaming and just hanging out with people. That's kind of what brought me into historicals. We are going to be in the tournament section of the event all weekend. But while we are there, we will have tables set up to run demos. So if you want to swing by and try any games you have not played yet, we will be able to get you those and get them on the table for you. My tradition at Historicon is about halfway through my first tournament, I will get pulled to start running demos, and I will be on the demo table until I go home on Sunday. We will also have open gaming. So we have many tables that we will have set aside to play on for our tournament. Any of them that we are not using immediately in the tournament,
And lists.
you are
and
welcome
armies.
to play on. We will probably have them set up with terrain. If we're not giving our armies out for loaners and you're like, hey, I want to play a game, I didn't bring my stuff, we can probably hook you up with stuff. Other things that we are doing while we are there, we've been through Tales, we have been challenged sort of by the Blood and Pigment guys, including Nigel, to put on what is supposed to be a 600-point refight of the Great Swamp Fight scenario on a 6x4 table. I kind of alluded to it in the intro. Or the catching up section, I'm working on building that table. I'm hoping to have it be an actual game board raised up, not just a rolled out mat with, frozen swamps and snow drifts. One of those games, one of the times that we play through it, it is going to be, air quotes here, invitation only. We're going to try to run it a second time. The second time that we run it through, we might kind of open it up to the public. I'm also hoping to use that table for demos. So if we're not in the middle of actually playing the game, but yeah, it's a opportunity to come by, get hopefully pictures of a photogenic table and see a cool game. If we run it again, in that game. And we are also plotting a big C game if there is interest. One of my favorite ways to play Blood and Plunder is the multi-ship line battles where everybody is captaining their own ship. Every time we put on an event, it seems like somebody is at our elbow poking us and asking when we're going to do the big C game. We're going to have time. We're going to have a lot of tables. We're having a 200-point C tournament, so you should have a boat. We will be able to put on a big C game if there are enough interested players. The biggest I've seen is an 8-person game, 8 or 10 at my first Historicon. I think we can do bigger than that.
Brings us to the preview. So I will say that so Raise the Black is coming. It's on the ships. It's getting there. They've made so much progress, and we're gonna get it. It's just a matter of how soon. And so the new book that comes with Raise the Black has a lot of updated factions. It brings it up into the present of the early 1700s, excuse me. And so there are a lot of things packed into this book. It updates some existing forces, it expands others, and it creates entirely new ones. So we've been given a preview of the Spanish portion of the Raise the Black book, and we're going to kind of walk you through some of the basics, and we'll see how much detail we get into. But you guys are free to kind of expand as you like, and we can always circle back to this in the next episode, because I know that I was so busy this week I didn't have enough of a chance to dig into it. But I've had a look, and there's a lot of cool stuff in here. So I don't know how we want to break this up. But I think let's have Tyler start and talk about the army, and then Glenn, you can do the armada that comes next and talk about the sea part of it.
All right. So every one of the nationalities that we have currently is getting a professional army list. So the Spanish are getting the very inventively named Spanish Army subfaction. I've done a write-up. It's rather old, using an early version of the French Army rules back when I was the French commander last year. The Spanish Army is very similar. They have an option between 2 different Spanish professional soldier units or European regulars. We don't have rules for the European regulars. We only got for the Spanish. And then they also have all of the new soldier types in support. So they have Granaderos, they've got different Miliciano options, some updated Milicianos. And of course, they have the all cavalry list where your Caballero Lanceros and just regular militia cavalry become core options. The cool thing from the army factions, it's not really a command or a force special rule. Actually, looking at it here, it is a force special rule. I guess it's how they're going to do this. But your force's commander may spend 2 command points to issue platoon actions to all units with the expertly drilled special rule within their command range. The controlling player chooses a single type of action, and all units that are in formation and are not shaken may take that action, including the commander's unit. This is sort of the universal professional army rule. It's really cool. The battle report that I did with the French, I was kind of trying to wrap my head around it and see how it might be played. I've had a couple more games using that rule, and it seems best used for like fire and maneuver type stuff. Also best used in large games. All of your core units in this are 6 points or more per model. So people who are worried about regular army type soldiers showing up and wrecking their 17th century games, don't worry. These guys are Space Marines. They're going to put like 10 of them on the table in a 100-point game.
These are tiny elite forces, but I think that these rules are really designed to help you have the option to scale up and make these much bigger fights and have larger point values, or to run the kind of things that we're kind of planning on doing.
Yes.
At Historicon, the swamp fights and stuff like that. Because some people are really motivated by tournaments, but I feel like a lot of these historical players are motivated by trying to recreate really cool or interesting moments and what if scenarios from history and refighting them. So this book gives you the tools.
I will point out, Tyler, you can get a 5-point core unit with the Soldados de Avanzada, but you don't get the expert drill rule there. So not really well, no. But the European regulars would. But
yeah, they don't work with your commander.
Having not seen the European regulars, I suspect there's some messing about you can do there, because I think the Avanzado can do some more special stuff, which we can talk about later when we actually get to the unit.
So Glenn, walk me through the Spanish Armada. Talk about that one.
Elusive is that special thing I was talking about just now. The Armada gets a +4 when attacking. All veteran units in the force gain expert sailors and expert artillery special rules, which is crazy. A weird one that I thought, units of marineros may upgrade the artillery crew special rule to expert artillery crew for 4 points per unit. Not entirely sure on the useful, or as a points cost thing, I'm not sure where that is. Just because I play a lot of Dutch and have access to a lot of English, so I'm used to crews that already have expert artillery, and it seems like you're paying extra for something you should. I don't know. It seems like a lot, but I'm sure some people will find it handy.
That's elitist, Glenn.
The really popular upgrade for people who don't already have expert artillery crew, you wouldn't know this, Glenn, because you're Dutch, is the Master Gunner, and he's a 4-point character. And he does give you a command point to reload and the -1 on the initial shot, but you can only get one of him. So I don't know. I think it's worth it. And I like that it's not like 1 point per model. So you can have a gigantic ship and just upgrade like 12 Marinero to have expert
One of the better
artillery
uses for this
crew.
that I immediately thought of was, a large unit of marineros stuck on, like, I don't know, the bow of a brig or a sloop of war where they've got all the swivel guns. So that might be worth paying for it.
Yeah.
But another big thing is this has a very similar thing to the platoon rule, where the force's commander may spend 2 command points to issue either a reload or shoot action to all units assigned to artillery with the expert artillery crew special rule that are within command range. Note that broadside special rule will apply if the commander has it. You get expert artillery if you upgrade to veterans. So if you take those marineros and make them veterans, then you get it. You also have Vizcaínos, which are, I want to say, looking at the unit, they're much like Corsarios, fighting-wise, not quite as specialized in the melee, more on the sailor side. Then you also get artillerymen as a core unit, which that seems like a cheap option. And then you get your, I'm guessing artillerymen will be more of a 3-pointer professional artillery than we've seen in the artillery militia that most lists have access to right now. Support units, the gamut. Granaderos, European sailors, sea dogs, Marines, Milicianos Negros, Milicianos Reformados, Zaliden, Coppers, and commander options is standard Spanish commanders or Don Andre de Ariola y Guzman. And I'm sorry, I probably murdered that.
All right, so I think I'll bring up my guys. So the mission garrison, they're great. I love trash, and there's nothing better than a bunch of poor Floridian militia pressed into service to the Spanish crown that aren't even given muskets unless you want to pay to have them upgraded. They're 3 points each. They're one of the core units you can take with this mission garrison faction, and the only thing cheaper than them is an Arizona iced tea in the middle of inflation. It's got to be $1. You can also take some trained guys, de avanzada, yeah, who are 5 points and yet are still poorly equipped. So their fighting is excellent, but their shooting is subpar. But that's pretty core for the Spanish. Spanish are great at getting into a fight, but really difficult at getting into the fight if they're getting shot at. So it's I don't know. I've played more games with the Spanish, and I'm starting to really like the kind of play style. I just like getting in there and mixing it up.
I mean, I like this force. Looking at
it's
it,
great. It's
everybody,
good.
everybody with bows gets rain of arrows. But the weird thing about the Soldados de Avanzada is they also gain support Milicianos Indios de la Florida, which means that you can only have one Soldados unit for every Milicianos Indios unit that you have.
The Blood and Pigment guys have been calling them the Indios de la Florida, the Indios Mascrapos, because they're definitely like cheap
Yeah,
throwaway.
I'm gonna use them against Nigel
Zerg
and his
Rush
northern
type
tribes.
native
And
unit.
My goal is to give him so much to kill that the game ends before he finishes. And I feel like I can't go wrong with that strategy. Um, which brings us to the Franco-Spanish Expeditionary Forces. So go ahead. Go for it, French. Go for it.
Yeah. Bourbons. Yeah, so this is Bourbon forces that were fighting in the New World. So they looking through here, they rolled out of Santiago de Cuba and San Domingo and just absolutely wrecked Nassau. And then they tried to do the same to Charlestown, and that didn't go quite as well for them. But they're a very interesting force because you can have French and Spanish units in them, and half of your units are not going to listen to your commander. Because if you have a French commander, the Spanish don't like him, and vice versa. So if any unit in this force is given an extra action with command point by commander or character of a different nationality, the commander or character using the command point must take a resolve test. The action may only be taken if the test
That's
is passed.
fun.
Otherwise, the
That's
command
really
point
fun.
is wasted. So I kind of like the idea of, some haughty Frenchman just yelling himself hoarse at the Spanish.
I feel like it's the equivalent of Peter Griffin and Family Guy walking up and he's like, "Don't worry, I know Italian." A babida boobida bibida babida. And the poor Italian guy's like, "Che cosa?" And he starts like, I'm friends with an Italian teacher, and he's translating all the things that the Italian guy is saying to Peter. So I feel like this is a chance to kind of relive that moment in Blood and Plunder.
The fact that you have to take a resolve test, you better take, if you're doing a Spanish commander, you better take some Soldados Reformados, because all those Milicianos, not the bravest.
Right. Yeah, their resolve is not good. So the Spanish commanders are kind of at a bit of a hit here. So you get the Milicianos Reformados, Indios, the Milicianos Negros, which is a really cool unit. Soldados Reformados. And then on the French side, you get French Fusiliers, Milicia de Caraïbes, and as core, Boucanier. So you can do some pretty silly stuff with your core, potentially. They don't really have any other special rules beyond just this is a weird mixed Franco-Spanish list, but I really do like it. And they can take their only named character is Pierre Lemoyne d'Iberville. So their primo named character is a
Brings
Frenchman.
us to the Guardacosta. I'll let more experienced gamer hands kind of tear into this as a list overall because there's a lot going on. But I'll say historically, the Guardacostas are supposed to be pirate hunters, and they wind up in some cases becoming the thing that they hunt, and it makes them a really interesting historical group. And this particular list of Guardacosta is the ones that are between 1700 and 1730. And there's a lot of differences between this and the previous incarnation in the core book. Who wants to take this one on in terms of talking
I will.
about it? Go for it, Glenn.
But I want to start with Guardacostas are one of my favorite lists out of the current Spanish lists, because you get Milicianos Piqueros Marineros Piqueros, and it's just a good way of getting decent Spanish militia, etc., that don't have poorly equipped and things like that, because in the 1600s they were actually fairly well equipped because they were supposed to be doing that pirate hunter thing. This is after all of that kind of goes out the window. So the sailors become expert sailors. They get +2 when determining attacker. Units in the force may reroll failed throw grapples. However, they also all gain poorly equipped, which is the opposite of upgrade them and they lose poorly equipped. And then all ships in this force move 1 inch more with moving with sweeps. So you really do kind of look at this list as maybe another Corsarios list, because you can get Corsarios, you can get the Vizcaínos, which, like I'd already mentioned, are similar to Corsarios. You have Marineros and Milicianos Reformados, so slightly better militia than we used to have. At least they have firelock muskets instead of matchlocks, right? That's an improvement. Support units, pretty large. Milicianos Negros, Milicianos Indios. And then it gets weird. Deleting, coppers, European sailors, sea dogs, Jamaican privateers, marines, and later flibustiers. Command options include Spanish commanders, Archibald MacDonald, Don Andre de Ariola y Guzman again, or Amaro Pargo Rodriguez Felipe. And another force option, you can choose foreign service, in which case you can replace the regular commander with any standard English, French, Dutch, or unaligned European commander, which loses you poorly equipped, but all Spanish units become support. And you flip-flop your Spanish support core with the support of that faction. So, like, let's say you chose an English commander, your core would simply become Sea Dogs and Jamaican privateers with all the other stuff in support. Also, you can choose Spanish corsairs. So this, like I said, is similar to Corsarios list. Remove poorly equipped. Force may not include milicianos reformados. Essentially, any militia: milicianos negros, milicianos indios.
That's what I'm going with. If I get to play in the boat tournament, this is the list I'm bringing. Is like flat out. If this thing is out, I mean, it's like a grab bag. You could bring anything you want. You can. It's +2 attacking, re-rolling grapples. If you're trying to get a force that's going to mount some ship and burn it to the ground, like these are the guys to do it with, in my opinion. I don't think you're going to find a better set of options than these guys have.
And like I said, with the Corsarios list, this does kind of replace it because, like, No Peace Beyond the Line saw the introduction of the timestamps on the forces, and I believe Corsarios are gone before this Guardacostas comes out, which is probably why they get the sub-faction for Corsarios. Yeah, this is looking like an interesting list, but at the same time, you do lose some of those nice advantages that the previous Guardacostas had. I guess Marineros Piqueros are a thing of the past.
Vizcainos are awesome, though. And to clarify, this Guardacostas list does not, for the benefit of the listeners, this does not overwrite the old Guardacostas list. You can still take the no peace Guardacostas if you want Marinero Picaro and some of the other cool stuff that they get. This is if tournaments ever go to splitting between years and saying like, hey, you have to bring a post 1700 list. We have no plans to do that in the foreseeable future. That is what this is for. It's also just updated for the new century and some of the cool toys that people are going to get. I was playing with He Who Must Not Be Named. We were talking about things we were excited for. These guys on a Barca Longa are going to be insane. It's going to be so much fun.
I'm sorry, I know we're going to lose time, but one of my favorite Flames of War tournaments ever was a tournament where they said, this is 1942. Bring a list that has all equipment from 1942. Like, don't bring anything from 43, because mid-war covers 42, 43. And you get extra victory points. And I think out of 20-something players, only one person brought 43 equipment. So it kind of nerfed things a little bit because you're losing that technological edge. But I would like to do a more scenario or narrative tournament kind of thing where we do say, like, hey, we're going to fight a tournament based around this campaign or this particular war. So choose a list, and we'll be nice about it and try to pick a year that has plenty of lists available. But we'll say something like, pick a 1702 list. So like this Guardacostas would be available, but the other one might not be. That said, you can take other lists. We're just going to have some kind of penalization there. Like you gain an extra 2 strike points as far as standings, something along those lines.
Yeah. So Tyler, you take the Reformed Militia, and I'll deal with the finale there.
So we've only got two Spanish lists left. Yeah. So the Reformed Spanish Militia, these guys, they can deploy a single unit with hidden, elusive, or skirmishers following lay and wait scenario rules. We've kind of seen that before on a lot of lists. 4 units, all of the milicianos, reformados, negros. They get lanceros. I think they're the only of the new lists that still keeps the pointy-sticked Spanishmen. They've got the hostigadores, which are a freaking awesome unit for the old Spanish lists. And then they have caballeria as core. Support units, they get those artillerymen again. We have not seen those. They get Caballeria Lancero, Soldados Reformados, Soldados de Avanzada, and Milicianos Indios, the actual good ones, not the De la Florida. Force options are very similar to the current Spanish militia that we all know and apparently love because they've been going hotcakes in the campaign. So you have the Cinquantanes, so you get the Caballeria Lancero as core, as long as half your force and your commander are mounted. Guerrilla fighters, you may include Milicianos Indios as core units and deploy half the units using lay in wait, as long as you have no artillery on field carriages and no mounted units. The cool one is the far-flung outpost. Everyone gains tough. When attempting to reload, all units in this force must roll 1 die for each reload action taken. On a 5+, the reload marker is removed. Otherwise, the action is wasted. This force may not include Soldados Reformados. That reload rule is harsh.
Yeah, that's super poorly equipped because you only reload 60% of the time you even try it.
Yeah, I think these guys are actually meant to represent forces that were operating in Mexico, like that were on the mainland in Central America.
Far-flung outposts, many of those units still have poorly equipped built in. So you get 3, yeah.
Yeah, you're getting 3 reload markers on a club, and then 50%
Yes.
chance of. Well, you have a 60% chance of clearing the reload because it's a 5-up. It's not. It'd be awful if it was a 6-up, but in a 60-40 split on getting rid of your reload marker, I'm going to be taking a lot of Lanceros for that one. And then the last force option they get is the Armadillas. Marineros become core units. Caballeria units may not be included in this force because
Yeah, I have it on good authority that doesn't work well. I want to point out Cinquantaine. I think the rule there changed a bit because if I remember correctly, previously most of the cavalry force type rules required you to have 2 units, and this is at least half, which means that if you have
2 units.
I guess you can take. Well, it has to be Lanceros too, so you could take regular Caballeria, but it still doesn't work towards the horse units thing. I mean, pointy sticks, fast-moving pointy sticks. They're good.
Caballeria Lancero are awesome. Yeah, like that's one of the things. It's really funny. It's one of the things I like about the Brazilian lists in No Peace Beyond the Line is they can grab the Spanish cavalry and do a little bit more with them because the Spanish somehow. I mean, it is
Gotta pay some
historical,
horses.
but the Spanish get the best cavalry in the game.
Well, I mean, Lancero options are in the new plastic kit.
Yeah, it's one thing they do
so
really well.
I'm personally looking forward to probably. There's 6 horses in the new plastic kit, from my understanding. So probably 2 boxes of those as Lanceros or Caballeria Lanceros.
Yeah,
Because I've already got a lot of metal regular dragoons.
I have a big box of like warlord minis from the English Civil War that I was going to try to paint up and make look like cavalry. I want to see if I can still do it. I might bust that out this summer. See what I can put together.
Right in there. Welsh ponies.
Bingo.
they're so tiny. They're all so tiny. I have a huge box. I bought out someone's collection of pike and shot.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. All right, our last list. So every one of these factions, typically in these new books, has one force named after like a big deal. So like Pete Hine is in the No Peace book for the Dutch. There's Church's Raiders in the Far the Frontier, and in this case we have Pargo's Marineros. It's the personal force of Amargo Pargo Rodriguez Felipe, who has to be the force commander. He's the only option you've got. This guy is somebody who is pretty interesting, but this is an insane elite force. You get a +3 to be the attacker. All core units in the force with sailors replace it with expert sailors. All units in the force reroll failed grapple throws, just like the guardacostas do. All size 3 and larger ships may add up to 3 pairs of additional heavy cannons to their permitted amount, not exceeding the maximum number of cannons these ships can take. A ship that takes the additional heavy cannons has a speed limited to 4. So you can basically load down this thing with artillery and blast the bejesus out of people.
Wait, hold on. Is this a Tyler? Correct me if
Yeah.
I'm wrong. This translates to a brigantine with heavy cannons,
Yes, it does.
or a
Brigantine
frigate
with heavy guns. Yes, it
With a-
does.
Oof.
the frigate with the 3-gun deck.
Yeah, the
The
light
brigantine
frigate.
would split it up, but the 3-gun deck on the frigate. Oh, that's nice.
This is oof personified. Like if I saw myself sailing into this, I'd just like turn around. I can't wait to try this at some point. Core units are Marineros and Vizcaínos. They've got some support. They have Corsarios. They have Dutch Leiden and European sailors. So this is a fun. This is for a sea game, and it'd be a blast. So you got a lot of options. There are 7 additional like units or updated units. A ton of new militia options. They really flesh this out. They're making the most of the new models that are coming out with this kit. And I mean, I speak for myself. I dropped $400 on this Kickstarter. So when these models come in, I'm sure my wife will be mad at me all over again, even though it's already long been paid for. So I'm excited to get painted stuff on the table. I'm excited to try some of these new lists while I'm waiting for the ships to come in from China. And any other parting thoughts on our Spanish preview?
Do we want to go over Pargo real quick? Because I pulled them up.
Let's not.
Okay.
And we can always bring it up later once we had a chance to kind of play test some of this stuff.
The other cool thing I'd just like to point out is we actually got an Irishman in this one. We have Archibald McDonnell. Finding info on him is kind of hard, but just the write-up that they give is, I think, all the info I was able to find outside of this preview. He's like a renegade Irish logwood cutter, and he turns Guardacosta. It's pretty cool. He goes around kind of a ruthless privateer of a person, as so many of them were, but a lot of fun. Comes with expert ambushers, Commodore, inspiring determination. He's going to be a good character. He's one of the like 25-point commanders that you can grab.
Wow. The Spanish have a couple characters that have 16-inch command range and Commodore, which adds what, another 12? Yeah, so that gives you like a 20. Okay, if it's 12 and I'm not misremembering it from 16 or something like that, like that's 28-inch command range on a ship. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Don Andres has that out of these rules.
Pargo.
I think if anyone else that we saw has it. Yeah, Pargo has the 16-inch, and he's got 3 command points. He's going to be nuts.
Yeah, it
And then
needs
the
a
new
big-
units.
It needs a full write-up.
We might put a write-up for this. It's going to need a preview article, so we'll make sure that we get a preview article up for them. They've got photos in here of the
Oh, and
new
then
plastic
Miguel
kits painted up.
Enriquez
I'm assuming that's
also
Rufus's handiwork.
only a mere 12-inch command range with Commodore. So, he can only shoot 24 inches instead of 28.
Yeah, the thing that I really caught with like these guys with the crazy range and Commodore is that rule that you can, if expert artillery, you can tell all of them to shoot,
Oh,
and
God.
it counts as broadside.
Okay.
You can broadside with multiple ships.
The super broadside?
Yeah, you could technically yell and fire. Yeah, super broadside. You can yell and fire every ship in a line. If we're playing one of these big sea games, and just delete someone.
Oh, man.
Yeah. This book is definitely, I think you'll be able to play smaller games. We've been talking about these like big 5-point, going through the units. It's like 3, 5, 3, 6, 5, 6, 8. The point sizes are going to
That's
go
it.
up if you're playing.
But the forces
a
won't get
lot
that much
of
bigger,
Raise the Black stuff.
Yeah, that's a plus. Now, if I remember correctly, when I previewed the pirate faction almost 2 years ago now, because that's when I was like, "Is this broken?"
They
This is
do get some cheap
Oh,
stuff.
you get a basic, inexperienced pirate with brace of pistols for 3 points. Like, turns out they're not good at anything, but they do have brace of pistols.
Yeah. They're like, are you? They're not, and
Yeah,
I think they're sticking with that from what we saw of that preview. I think that's been going around in the commander chat, and it's like, you guys are really doing this. Okay. Yeah, yeah. And I could just see like Miguel sitting in the background, just like rubbing his hands together like Scrooge
Yeah.
McDuck.
My little duck flutes could just burn to the ground. It's just swarmed over by things. All right, it's past my bedtime, and I do technically have to work tomorrow. So we're gonna hit up the trivia. So when last we met, um, the question uh, in June of 1667, the English and Dutch were involved in negotiations to bring a close to the Second Anglo-Dutch War. In hopes of ending the war definitively and with favorable terms for the Dutch, Admiral Michel de Ruyter was dispatched with top secret orders for a surprise raid on the Chatham dockyards along the River Medway. In an attack unequaled until the Japanese raid on Pearl Harbor 274 years later, de Ruyter was able to capture or burn 3 English capital ships, 10 ships of the line, and tow away the flagship of the Royal Navy. In their panic, the English would scuttle a further 30 ships, either as block ships or to prevent their capture. What was the name of the captured English flagship, and ultimately what would be its fate? We had 19 correct answers for this. The answer was, Glenn, you want to do the honors since this was a Dutch victory?
Yeah, we'll take it. The answer is the Royal Charles. But the Dutch Navy looked at it and was like, wow, this is a really fat ship and it rides low in the water, which makes it useless for our coastal shenanigans. So they permanently dry docked it, used it as a visitors gallery, tourist attraction, and then eventually scrapped it in 1672, which is only like what, 5 years later? Yeah, England. Yes.
5 years later.
So they still have the stern crest in the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam, and one thing that a lot of people put in their answer that we didn't have was that apparently there was a large mirror from the ship that was saved, and because Anglo-Dutch relations are still suffering in 2012, they finally sent the mirror back to England in 2012.
Wow.
Uh,
Wow.
It's one of my favorite stories because it's like this crazy raid. One of the first Marine landings. It was like kind of the first outing of the Dutch Marine Corps, and then just the insult to injury.
That's pretty
Yeah.
great, though. I have even more respect for the Dutch than I already did. So, we rolled ourselves a d20, and the winning entry is number 17, David Rute, Ruete. Probably mispronouncing it. So, David, we'll be reaching out to you to send you your prize, and your prize is going to be, Glenn, what do you got?
We haven't decided, so I'll reach out. It'll be 2 blisters of your choice, or I don't know. I really have no idea because we totally forgot to figure it out ahead of time. Yeah.
There was some speculation involving belly button lint on our Facebook page. We will not send you an envelope of belly button lint.
The many things that are in Glenn's basement, and I promise you that
Yes.
you are spoiled for options, David. You'll be good. It's a page of wonders. All right. The rules this time around. The trivia question. We expect to record in early July. We will again give you a warning before that happens. If I can edit this over the weekend, I expect that this podcast will go out on Tuesday the 13th, unless we have preempted by something else. So we should actually be back on schedule from this point forward. So
one of the things that we need to figure out is what is the prize this time, because I meant to bring it up ahead of the episode and forgot. So what do you want to send them?
You know what? In commemoration of just how much money the person in the question stole, I will send them a custom objective that has a treasure chest with like gold and silver spilling out of it, because I have 3 of them left that I custom put together. So I will send you a custom treasure chest and a blister of your choice, because I have a couple of extra blisters lying around. So
Wow.
I will give you. I have quite a few options to choose from, but I'll email out whoever winds up winning trivia for the month of June. All right.
Yeah, we do tend to do email notification, just so
Yeah,
you
we'll email
know
you,
ahead
so
of
we'll
time.
bother you then. All right, so you're emailing talesofthesale@gmail.com. That's TALES of the sale, SAIL, and it's all one word. Talesofthesale@gmail.com before we next record, and we will remind you. All right, the question. Beginning his career around 1705 as the captain or master of the Spanish ship Ave Maria y las Animas, this corsario would grow in reputation steadily over the course of the wars that plagued Europe and the West Indies during the early 18th century. Considered at the time to be as popular and famous as Sir Francis Drake and Blackbeard, he would be made a noble and amass such a fortune as to be declared the richest man in the Canary Islands. He is one of a handful of real pirates to not die a violent death, but instead was celebrated in his hometown enough times that his funeral procession had to be stopped 8 times. 2 questions. First, what is the name of this famous Spanish commander? And 2, what is carved on his tombstone in Seville? So, with that, we will walk down a list of some upcoming events before we close. And I will leave that to Tyler and Glenn. So, Glenn, you get to say the sad stuff first, and then you'll just switch off either or. So, Glenn, you read A, and then Tyler B, etc.
All right. So, again, sad news. Foreground closing. They still have a sale going till 30th of June, if they have anything left, because it's a end of stock clearance sale kind of thing. So, if you haven't already gone over there, please go grab whatever ports of plunder materials you want from Foreground, because after June 30th, it's just going to be whatever's left in local stocks around whatever local gaming stores you have.
All right. So Jason Klotz has his new Oak and Iron fan site up. That is Timber and Sail. He's helping us out with the campaign. He's doing a lot of the unique challenges for you Oak and Iron people, like Dan, with your tiny boats. So go check him out. He's doing a really great job. That game really needed some love, like some community generated love.
Yeah.
That we weren't providing.
I feel like Dan could have done more for his favorite game. It is. And
it's so hard to photograph.
If you're on the
boats,
moving on, leave Dan alone.
You need a macro
I was
lens.
gonna say, if you're on Facebook, Jason is doing above and beyond work with this because
Yeah, he really is.
he just printed out a fleet of barks with their experimental rules, and for our Bark Wars objective this week, they're doing like 2 fleets of 10 or 20 barks a pop. And I can't even imagine the total mess that would be to fight out. Anyways, Historicon, July 20th to 24th. Pre-registration is currently open. Pre-registration closes July 17th. I'd recommend pre-registering. You can save yourself $15 or $20 doing that, if I remember correctly. There's no space left at the hotel, I can tell you that. It's very expensive. I would definitely find somewhere off-site if you can. Any other Historicon tips, guys? Hints, tricks?
Parking is going to be a pain. I intend to drive in every day.
So there's a parking
I am
garage a couple blocks
dropping my
away.
stuff.
Go park
Yeah,
there.
it's
They
full.
will validate your parking. But yeah, if you come, we will pretty much be existing in the tournament hall, which is adjacent to the vendor hall. Hopefully, we'll be within waving distance of the Firelock Games booth. But from my understanding, we're supposed to be right up front in the tournament hall, so it should be easy to find us.
Yeah, come say hi. If we have time, we'll definitely give you a game. I'll have a display board set up and stuff, so we can get stuff in. Otherwise, play us in the tournament because I think we're each kind of dividing up, jumping in and playing, and then just kind of circulating and tag team and all the other events.
Yeah, we each get one.
We each get one.
Yeah,
we get one to play
Probably.
in, one to run, and one where I think we're on demo duty.
Mythicos, New Jersey. I'm going to be running demos. I'm going to be down there with Nigel on Friday the 17th. So if this comes out on schedule on the 14th and you listen, I'll be in Mahwah, New Jersey on the 17th. I may be down there some point the following weekends, but I have to kind of check. So I'll post on Mythicos's webpage. I will also post a quick announcement on NDNG, and I will also post an announcement on the Tales of the Sale Facebook page letting you know what is going on and when I will be there. Because now that school is finally ending and I'm free, I will have actual time to play some games and run some demos and come say hi. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in Northern Jersey.
And then Saturday and Sunday, June 19th and 20th, Andrew Vogel is going to be running some demos at a shop in Aberdeen, North Carolina. That store is Hit Point Hobbies. So if you run out there, you can say hi to him. I was trying to find, he has a store that will also be opening up in North Carolina. I'm trying to get some more information on that. I wanted to give him a plug. But we found his demos, so I'm sharing his demos.
And I'll do my best to get this out so people can see that. I say we can also post about this on our Facebook page. So let's reach out to Andrew and bug him and get the details. And I'm happy to cross post his event so he can get some more foot traffic.
That might be the 18th and 19th. The 20th is a Monday.
Well, I don't know. Maybe North Carolina's weird. We'll reach out to him and clarify.
Yeah.
But it's coming up. And if you're in the area of North Carolina and Aberdeen, definitely check this out because we want to support our friendly local gaming stores. And if he's getting one running, then that's good news for everybody in the area.
Yeah, and he's a great guy. He was at our Easter Island tournament.
Yeah, it was really nice getting to know him.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
that is it. It's almost midnight here on the East Coast as we record this. So Glenn, go ahead and take us out.
Well, everyone, as always, thank you for listening. Can't do it without you. And we look forward to seeing you all participate in the Summer of Plunder and can't wait to mail each and every one of you prizes for doing amazing things in the campaign. So until next time, it's been good talking to you, and we'll see you again next month.
Thanks so much for joining the show tonight. Remember to follow us on Twitter at No Dice, No Glory, and keep the conversation going on NoDiceNoGlory.com, now featuring our own message boards. Have a great night, everybody.